Okay, this is a wild turkey tail feather straight from the hunter. Usually I don't know exactly how they cut them off, but they cut them off and then they'll either clean them or they'll freeze them. I got this one from a guy and he froze it, so now it's defrosted. You can see how loose everything is. And basically you just start plucking, and usually they'll come out, the feathers will come out pretty clean when they're in this kind of condition. These are actually breaking off, which is okay, because if you're going to use them for crafts or fly tying, usually I clip the bottom of the quill anyway. So anyway, these are basically part of the back of the turkey or upper tail. So what you're going to do is just pull these out, and these are actually breaking, so which they weren't doing the other day, but okay, so this is one that pulls out all the way so you can see the end of the quill. And normally that's what they'll do. If the feathers really, or if the whole set is really dry, a lot of times they'll break off, but unless you really need them, the end of the quill, it's really not a big deal. All right, so I'm going to continue pulling these upper tails, and then we will start again when I get to a different spot. And by the way, the white stuff that you see here, this is borax, and this is a really good way to preserve feathers, especially feathers that haven't been cleaned. Even if feathers have been cleaned, if you take 20 mule team borax, stuff you get at the store, and put it in a Ziploc bag, something that seals it, the borax will actually keep anything from bothering your feathers. You know, if there's any little mites or weevils or anything like that, it kills everything. So it's a really good preservative for feathers. So now I'm to the point where we're at the upper tails. These feather here are pre-tails, known as pre-tails, and they sometimes are a little bit harder to pull out. If you try and pull straight out, that's when you'll usually get the best result. But if it's really hard to pull straight out, you can kind of pull down, and if you that'll work too. If you do, well, these are coming out clean. Now, say if you do, get a piece of this fatty tissue on there, what I do is I use straight edge razor, but I see there's a little bit of fatty tissue on that one, and you can just kind of scrape it off. You could use a scalpel or any kind of a blade you're kind of used to using, and then it just kind of pulls off of there. You want to get as much of this off as possible, because if there are any kind of little bugs that want to eat stuff, that's what they're wanting to eat. They're wanting to eat this fatty tissue in here. And there's a lot of it down there by the end of the feather there, or the end of the tail. Now there's some feathers you might not care to keep. Some of these little ones, I just have a bag to throw stuff away that aren't any good, for the feathers that aren't any good. So we'll just continue with doing these, and then when I get done with these pre-tails, then you turn it over, and these are all the feathers that are underneath. And I don't know about for fly tying, but for crafty stuff, they're kind of neat, because they have a lot of fluff on them. So they're very, they're fluffy and they're kind of cool, and they also have some really neat iridescence too. So they're pretty neat. A lot of times you'll get these underneath feathers that have breaks in them like this. I usually don't use feathers that have too much of a problem, but you can see they're a nice feather for certain applications. And I'll just continue cleaning this up until I get to the main tails. Okay, now we're at the point where we have the main tail feathers on a wild turkey. Every time I've ever counted them, they're always 18. Not that that matters. So what you've got is a bunch of great big quills and this big knot of, it's actually a combination of meat and fat. And if you take your blade and you just cut right down into there, you can see meat and fat. Isn't that beautiful? Did I talk about the borax already?
Yeah.
Oh, the borax, yeah. The borax is keeping it, a little bit more sanitary. So what I do is I take a little cut down the side of the quill there, and then sometimes they'll peel right off. If it's really dry, it'll peel right off. If it's really kind of moist like this, you just kind of have to scrape it. And you just scrape that meaty stuff up, put it in your trash, and then what I like to do after that is just kind of do a little extra scraping. Really get all the stuff off of there. Get out the end there. And then you have a nice clean tail feather. And what you're going to do is just continue to slice down. Get to where you get it loose from the whole thing. Cut into it. You're not really cutting into the quill. Quills are really, really pretty tough. But you're just kind of cutting through that fat layer to get, see, to get it off of there. And that just goes away. This is a good job for outside, because a lot of times there'll be little fluffy pieces of feather that fly all over the place, and actually if there was a little breeze right now, it wouldn't even be a bad thing, because then it would just fly away. But yeah. Nice looking feathers here. And the borax you can just, throw away when you're done with it. If you want to store, even these feathers that have been cleaned, if you want to store them with some borax, that's not a bad idea. And then the borax just brushes off. When I paint on my feathers, and I always give them a bath before I paint on them anyway, so if you have borax or something, it's no big deal. It will pretty much just brush right off. But you can also wash feathers. I'll take feather and I'll get some warm water and some Dawn dish soap, or any dish soap I guess would work. And you just kind of soak them in the dish soap. Get them all nice and clean. You can even kind of scrub them with the dish soap. That really cleans them up, brings out the color, makes them nice, and you can you blow dry them on low. Get a blow dryer, turn it on low, kind of place it where you can use both hands. I just set the blow dryer like on the table, and then I dry the feather just by preening it with my hand, and they come out gorgeous. They look like a wet dog when you first take them out of the water, but then once you get them all fluffed up, they're really beautiful. So, and that's another way to guard against having any little critters or bugs or creatures get into your stuff. Just keep them as clean as you can. So I'm going to go through this until I get down to all of them, and then you'll have 18 really nice big tail feathers, so you can paint on them, use them for crafts, fly tying, all kinds of things. That's how to clean a turkey fan.